I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair, took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no home, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. But need no cheap keef.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I was soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I gotta gas, they running on fumes. So put on my bag, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lawyer, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't belabor like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low, but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I was soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones a doubt and I dare to show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shooting this breaks, I'm going in. In a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Hey, just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by slide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, we were unable to reclaim our key level of resistance at about 114 to 114.5. And we got that lower high and the lower low. And I'm not going to lie, guys. My expectation here, medium term, is for a continuation to the downside. Now, again, I'm not calling for zero, although we did look at the kind of flip side of the coin yesterday. I played devil's advocate against my longer-term bullish scenario. But I am going to be anticipating some medium-term continuations to the downside. I'll obviously cover the exact situations that I'm looking at. But as we do still have money flow coming out, guys, we got the lower high, the lower low, and we are eerily, we came within, pennies of our previous low, which is the low that we're looking to break here based off our macro Fibonacci rejection that we had on the weekly time frame. So it does look like we might want to go take that low, guys. But I'm going to break it down all here on the charts for you guys. Is it going to be another 2-hour live stream, guys, or we're going to do a short one? I was supposed to do a short one yesterday and wound up going longer than usual, which is weird. So we're going to do an extra long live stream today, guys. I'm going to say that. But I actually don't really feel too good, guys, today. So I'm going to do a super, super long live stream, which, if it works off the same math as yesterday, it should be, maybe about an hour. We'll see what happens. But shout out to the Mafia. I apologize if the energy is not there, guys. I literally feel like a zombie. But shout out to you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here. I'm going to try to keep the energy up. We got Nirvana in the chat. Welcome in, bro. We got Container House saying, yep, ETH looks stronger. We're going to take a look at Ethereum. Obviously, shout out to Container House. Welcome in, bro. We got MB, Jesse, our like police. We got Amina in the chat. Welcome in, Amina. Shout out to you. Welcome in. She said that she was listening to the music and dancing like she was still 18. Shout out to Amina. Welcome in. We got Jessica, another female Candle Mafia member, the queen of the Candle Mafia, some would call it. Shout out to Jessica. Welcome in. We appreciate our female Candle Mafia. You guys are about 1.2% of us, but you guys are the elite group of the Mafia. So shout out to you guys. Welcome in. We got Tony D in the chat, said short stream or I quit. All right, guys, that's all I got for today's live stream. I'll see you tomorrow. Shout out to Tony D. Tony D can't quit, guys. Oh, God, we can't live without Tony. But shout out to Perry. Welcome in. He says, salute, Frankie. Shout out to Perry. We got Pose in the chat. We got Enzo in the chat. Welcome in. He says, yo, what's going on, bro? We got Gen Z. What is going on? Said Tony D. Fair deal. Fair deal. Shout out to Tony D. But let's see. We're going to take a look at Well, shout out to Jamil says altcoin and meme coin season starts tomorrow. Powell's dovish speech, I can't even speak, guys. Powell's dovish speech is already priced in. We bounce and we bounce hard, beginning on the third wave of the Elliott wave. Do what you will with that information. Shout out to Jamil. Well, we'll talk about a potential bounce from this level, and I'm going to cover every exact level that I'm looking at. Whether we come down to break the low, which is my personal anticipation, but that doesn't mean that I think Bitcoin's going to zero, guys. So smash that like button if you have not already. If we get, we'll lower it today. We'll say 550 because it might be short. Keyword might. 550 likes, guys. We will be giving away 3 Frankie Candles hats on top of 10 bags of Cardano. And if we hit 1,000 somehow in a short period of time, we'll give away $500 in Solana. Screw it. We'll double it. We'll double it from 250 to 500. Let's see. No one says, and no one is a person, says, 10K BTC soon. 10K BTC would be absolutely insane. I guess then anything's possible, but that would be absolutely wild. I don't know who's calling for 10K. But guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the charts, because usually, you guys know, the writing is on the wall. The charts. So let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Here we go. All right. And here we are. Let me go ahead and hide the short position. I am still holding this position, by the way, guys, over on Femex. I will just show this really quickly. I did lock in more profits. Got about $2,229 locked in, $730 unrealized. I got pretty much nothing left in this position. It's like I think it's like a $10,000 position at this point. So just letting this thing ride. Profits locked in. Stop loss at break even. I should probably drag this down at some point. But, pretty much, I'm not pretty much. 100% guaranteed winning trade here, but I'm going to hold it here because I am still anticipating a potential continuation down here, guys, for some very specific reasons. And it all starts here on that weekly time frame, guys. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you. Actually, I'll just pull it. Where's it at? Right here, guys. This weekly rejection here. We're going to start off on the higher time frames and work our way down here. This was basically our anticipation here. Well, not basically. This was our anticipation ever since we got this weekly candle closure below this 786 golden pocket. We talk about this every single day. You have this fib is pulled from the high to the low. So you have your high, your low, your potential lower high. If you're looking for the lower high, guys, where is it going to come in at? It's probably going to come in between that 786 golden pocket, and that's where we were looking at on Friday, saying, hey, if we close that weekly candle down here and we're unable to close it above, that would be a very good indication and greatly increasing the probabilities of having that high, low, lower high, and then that lower low, calling for the break of structure to the downside here at about $111,850. I don't think that's the exact level. What is it? $111,842. I was close, a couple dollars off. But as you can see, we are just pretty much following that exact journey of what we've been looking for here ever since that weekly candle close. And we actually got within pennies of this low here, right? Now, is it impossible? Is it impossible to front run this level? I wouldn't say so. As a matter of fact, Market Cypher B does have some bullish divergences forming here. I will go over that in just a minute, guys. But again, just like we looked at this previous daily level that we had down here the other day, right? We had this, where's it at? We had this daily level. And, on the lower time frames, we were looking at this and we were like, well, hey, we barely front ran this level. I'll come down to the hourly. We did come down and barely front run this level, right? And sure, you get the little bounce to the upside, guys, but 9 out of 10 times, or maybe I should say maybe 8 out of 10 times, you are going to come back down and, take that actual key level down. When you have a daily like this, it's very unlikely that you're just going to front run it and get a massive move up. And then, if you wanted to kind of talk about like the mechanics behind the market and kind of like why that could be the case, well, number one, the market just has a funny way of coming to tap these key levels. This happens time and time again, and this is just a beautiful example of that. But also it's like, you get the front run of that daily. A lot of people are longing here. What does that do? It puts a lot of liquidity down there, which we all know acts as a magnet for price, and then price wiggles up, and then they go out and sweep that liquidity before another pop to the upside. So, this is, and the reason I bring this up is because it's kind of a similar situation here. We did have some low time frame bullish divergences down here before the bounce, but we did eventually come down and tap that level, which was the anticipation. It's kind of the same thing here, right? The next major level that I'm looking at here is going to be the low, right? And it is coming in at 111,842, and you can see we are barely front running this level, and we do actually have some bullish confirmations, right? This is just something that is just binary. It's on the chart, right? We can't unsee it, right? You have the lower lows on our price action. We have the higher lows on our momentum waves on the 4-hour time frame. This is a pretty nice time frame for divergences, guys. When you see a 4-hour bull div, more often than not, it does play out very, very nicely, right? Lower low, higher low, bada boom, cook it to the upside. So the 4-hour bull divs are very, very nice to see, but we have front run this low. And again, there's liquidity under here. And, again, it's not impossible to get the bounce, but, it's the same thing that I just explained on this daily. More often than not, you probably are going to come up and then come back down and sweep out that low, in my own personal opinion. So my medium-term context here is to eventually, even if we get the bounce to the upside, look for that sweep of this low down here at 111,842. And this has a lot more to do with just the fact that you have the front run level down here. You also have your money flow coming out on the 4-hour, which is continuing down here, guys. This does indicate that the trend will continue to the downside. This is, money flow is not oftentimes, almost every single time, how we're able to predict these continuations of the downtrend. And what happens? Money flow is cooking to the downside. You have the money flow crossover into the red right here. And what were we looking at yesterday? Even if we were able to break above our key level of resistance, you guys know this was that major level sitting at about $114,200. This was that big level that we had to hold as support in order to push to the upside. And we even had some bullish confirmations down there, but we just couldn't do it, right? You had the 1-hour bullish divergence. You had the swing failure of the low. And, not to say that this wasn't a bad position to take, right? A nice little, what was this? Let me just measure this real quick. This was wick to wick about, 2%. Not bad for like a little day trade or something like that. You had the bullish divergence. You had the SFP of the low right here. Right, you come down, you wick below, close the candle above, and then pop it back to the upside. But again, overall idea there, based off the money flow, which is why I brought this up in the first place, is like money flows in the red, right? So you have to be on watch, right? We call it lower high watch. You got to be on the lookout for those lower highs and lower lows. And our first biggest key level of resistance was that tapped weekly and tapped daily. We were trying to get above it so desperately yesterday. And we even talked about this fake out into, with our money flow fake out into the red and back into the green, and how that was a lower probability. And why was it a lower probability? Well, we had already spent a ton of time in the green. So sometimes when you get a little bounce here, you can get that money flow to fake back out into the green. But overall, it is more than likely going to continue the overall trend, indicating lower highs and lower lows. And you can see, like, even if you look at some of the lower price action here, 2-hour money flow crossover into the red all the way up here. And then you go down the lower time frames. You have the 1-hour money flow crossing over even earlier. And then, that anticipation is low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And you just continue that downtrend. This has been absolutely beautiful. This is how I've been able to hold my short position from the high, or not the tippy high here, but pretty much from that fake out of the all-time high. My entry, this is my actual entry at about 121,789. So, and that money flow helps me understand, like, hey, if we fake out that all-time high and we start coming down and that money flow starts crossing over into the red, I am probably going to be pretty comfortable holding that trade, right, in the anticipation of that downtrend. And honestly, I've just kind of been kicked back, sitting in that short position. We took a little scalp short yesterday as well, but other than that, kind of just sitting in my short from the high and enjoying this drop to the downside, which is excuse me, guys. Good Lord, I hope I'm not getting sick. Is the, a beautiful situation to be in, guys. A lot of people like to, you have to take a trade every day, right? It feels like that. That is just simply not the case. And, the longer I trade, the more I am more picky about the trades that I take. And not only is that more often than not going to make you more money over time, because you're not chopping your account up trying to take every little 5-minute trade. But, I'm not saying we don't take, we took a little scalp yesterday, but, the longer I trade, right, like the more I am just interested in those like A+, like quality setups, because those are typically those, beautiful beautiful trades that you can just hold for a longer period of time. And, it does sometimes take a little bit of patience to wait for those levels, but, oftentimes they will pay you out very, very nicely, as I just brought up here in that short position I am holding for those of you who just tuned in. So yeah, just sitting here with the stop loss and at break even over on Femex. But yeah, for the most part, guys, my overall anticipation here is going to be, if we do get a front run of this low, it is going to be a suspicious low for me, right? Come on. I'll even label it kind of sus, right? So if we front run this, and even if we get a retracement to the upside, I will bring up some really, really clean levels for you guys. We have a new volume profile that I'm going to be looking at. And, even if we get like cleaner big rides to the upside, we do still have to be aware of the lower highs and the lower lows, just like we were looking at yesterday, lower high, lower low, right? So that is going to be my overall bias here, but I'm not saying that you can't get a little bit of a local bounce to the upside. Very similar to yesterday, my anticipation was to come back to this low, but, you could get those little continuations up. And we were even anticipating, if we were able to hold that key level of resistance above the tap daily and weekly, that we could even get a little bit of a bigger retracement, right? And if we do get a push up here, right, and we start pushing up, why am I even open to the idea of those lower highs and lower lows. Well, if you take a look at the higher time frame context here, guys, 12-hour money flow still cooking into the red here, right? This is an indication that the overall trend, and when you're looking at the 12-hour time frame, that could be a somewhat of a longer-term trend, right? You can see back here when you have the 12-hour money flow crossover into the green, or the first one here, right? It starts to like play around and cross over right here, and then it does that big wave lasts a very long time and does give you that long-term trend to the upside. Now, I'm not necessarily anticipating the same size of a dump, but just to kind of show you when you're looking at those higher time frames, right? Even if we do get a sizable bounce and a front run of this low, the whole way up, I'm going to be thinking to myself, kind of sus. Kind of sus. Liquidity. And, is it impossible to just like rip up there? I'm going to talk about a scenario where maybe you do just front run the low and go, but I would just say that's the lower probability situation. But there are some levels that, if flipped, will kind of make me a little bit more confident to at least get a ride back up, but still would be looking for those lower highs and lower lows over the long term. And that has to do, it's not just my bias. It's not because I want Bitcoin to go down because I'm in a short. Like I said, there's not really much left in that position anyway, even if this thing nuked. It's a small position at this point. I have most of the profits locked in, but, it's only based off of the actual technical information here, and that 12-hour money flow crossover is as clear of a signal as you can get, right? Crosses over into the green. Overall continuation of that trend is going to be to the upside. Crossover into the green. Continuation to the upside, right? Crossover into the red. Continuation to the downside, right? So, this plays out way more often than it doesn't, right? It's not that you're never going to get fake outs on money flow, but this is where my bias comes from. It's coming all from the charts, all from information. No emotion here, guys. No emotion here. I'm completely dead on the inside. I'm just kidding. So just be aware of that. Suspicious low. But like I said, with the little 4-hour bullish divergence that we even have that 12-hour VWAP that has been below this zero line for quite some time. We've been down here for a week. At some point, this is going to give us a green dot and some kind of a retracement. So just understand, if we do front run that level, it'd be nice to see a little recovery. But, my overall anticipation is going to be lower high, lower low to take out that liquidity below this $111,842 level. Now, if we do come down there, guys, we have that daily MPOC, which is sitting down here at about $112,000. Actually, I'll keep that $108,000 POC up there as well. And this is the key support, guys, right? And from a macro perspective, right, we are hoping that we really don't have to dig into this range too much, because if we push a little bit lower than this $108,000 level, we start creeping into the $104,000, $103,000 level towards the low. It starts to get a little suspicious. It's suspicious, and this is where we brought up that kind of macro, this macro chart here, right? We have the value area high sitting at about $110,000, and then we have that daily MPOC. Let me just grab this MPOC really quickly. I'm going to grab the coordinates just so I can get this exact level on the chart over here. Pull up the daily, grab array, it's bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. Right? And then we'll label that daily MPOC. Where's it at? There we go, right? So you have the $110,000 to $111,000 level. This is, $110,000 to $111,000 level. $110,937 is the exact daily MPOC there. But this is going to be that next major level to look at, guys, in my own personal opinion. If we do crack that low, this is the next support, right? $110,937 down to about $110,000. This is pretty big level, guys. This is pretty big, right? Because if we come on down here, we would love to get some kind of a bounce, right? Because, once we start cracking down to this golden pocket, as we covered yesterday, right, the next key level of support, if we break down below 110K, which I generally would not be a fan of, and the reason for that is because if we break down below that value area high, right, hopefully we can get something like that. But if we do come down and break below this value area high, very likely, right, getting accepted into this volume profile is going to call for that next stop to be the POC, which isn't that bad because we do have a ton of confluence here within this golden pocket. But once we start breaking that golden pocket, guys, I'm not going to cover this today because I covered it for a long time yesterday, playing devil's advocate against my long-term bullish scenario. But Frankie, you just said you were expecting the lows to get taken, right? Yes, but that is a medium time frame, right? But long term, right, there really is nothing for me personally to see on the charts here that is saying that 125K is the top. We're going down into a bear market. I know everybody gets super scared of that, but there are lines in the sand where I would start to actually be concerned about that. And we compared that to the 2021 top. Very hard to say that 69K was the top, but once you got the drop to the downside in this bearish retracement, money flow is coming out on major time frames like the weekly, and a much easier place to call that the top is very likely in. So it's a similar situation here. Every all-time high we make, guys, is getting closer and closer to potentially being the top. But that's not my base case. My base case is that we can come on down here, retest the structure, and you guys can see here, right, this $110,000 value area high is also in line, right, with this January 2025 top, right? So you have, like, not only, this is why I don't mind digging into this range a little bit, because even if you do have to come down and push into this range a little bit, right, you do have the golden pocket, you have multiple daily MPOCs down here, the point of control of the range, we have a macro anchored VWAP coming up there, and you also have these structural highs right here, which is going to be massive, massive support. Excuse me, but once we start breaking below these levels, guys, 786 sits right here at about 103,833. Can you bounce here? Yes. We've talked about this on every single live stream, and I'm probably going to wrap this up right after this, but you could bounce here, guys. But I don't want to mess around with this level because, you start coming down here, if you lose it, it could get very bearish very, very quickly, right? And even if we get a bounce here, depending on the high time frame money flow, trying to front run what this would look like, if we do get that move down to the 786, which is also complement with the value area low, so you got to say that is support, right? But if you get the bounce there, right, what's your high time frame money flow looking like? Is your weekly money flow tanking to the downside? Because if it is, you do have to be aware again of those high time frame lower highs and lower lows. That is not my base case. My base case is we could very easily just come on down here, retest some of this structure, and then come back up into a final parabolic blow off top. Finally see the alt season come in. That is my base case, but I'm never just going to come in here as a trader, right? I have no option, right? I have to look at the flip side of the coin because if we're going to go down, I want to capitalize on that as well. And hey, guys, I don't want to hold my bags to the bottom either. But there's nothing on the chart right now that says like that I can confidently say that like, oh my God, the top is in. But just to have you guys aware, like, this gold zone here, like this is really, like if we have to come down there, it's going to be a very difficult situation, but Bitcoin's going to have to get cooking at that point, in my own personal opinion. I do not want to lose that level at all. But, base case here is hopefully we can hold up support on this next level, 110,937 to 110K, right? Again, not only the confluence in here, but also on these highs. And then if we have to break down to the golden pocket, if that doesn't hold, right, the next obvious place is to look between about 108 to 107,300 or $339. Really want to hold those next two levels, guys. I'm just praying we don't have to deal with those lower, these lower levels down here. Would be an absolutely brutal situation. So that's what I'm looking at here long term. And then short term, obviously, I will be seeing if we can get that bounce off the 4-hour bullish divergence here. But again, if we do get a retracement to the upside, let's talk about some of that major resistance that we do have above. And I'm going to pull up this new range that we have not covered yet. Not really super surprising or shocking here, but it is our current volume profile pulled throughout all of this price action, right? Fair value is inside the profile. Above it is overvalued. Below it is undervalued. So we can view this as, if we are going to get a retracement, whether we get the front run or we get the sweep into the daily MPOC / value area high, right? I will be looking at major resistance here. We have a daily MPOC and a value area low between 115,639 and 114,937. So I'm going to go ahead and put a purple box there because that is going to be resistance, right? And this would be the first major level I'd be looking at for potential lower high and a lower low. Why lower highs and lower lows? We'll just take a look at, your money flow coming to the downside, indicating the continuation of that trend. And then, I would say if you can get above here, right, this would be the first place I'd be looking for a lower high. If you can get up in here, flip that value area low to support, well, where's your next likely place for price to go? Let's cook it up towards that point of control, sitting at about $118,300. The same major level of resistance that we looked at here on the way up. We knew once we broke above that, we would very likely see new all-time highs, and we got that to play out perfectly. We actually longed this POC in the premium Discord for a beautiful little pop to the upside, and then caught the short almost from the tippy top all the way back down. So this level sits at about 115,688. Get above that, right? Then we can start to look to cook up towards that point of control. Once you flip that point of control, we can look up towards that value area high, sitting at about $120,288. I wish there was a way to say that, I wish I could have money flow coming up here and say, hey guys, beautiful bullish confirmations, which we do have some bullish confirmations, right? But a bull div with money flow coming out is not going to be viewed the same as a bull div with money flow. A bull div with money flow coming out is not going to be viewed the same as bull div with money flow coming up, right? If we had a bull div with money flow crossing into the green on the 4-hour, it's actually a really good sign that you're going to have a pretty significant bottom coming in, and you can see that longer term continuation up. But right now, we have to be very careful around the 114,913 to 115,688 level. And then once you flip above that, again, this POC zone here, guys, is also very, 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 very strong resistance. Let me see. Do we have a... that's a tapped monthly MPOC. Let me pull up some weeklies, dailies. Monthlies, no. So you have the daily MPOC. I think we also have this anchored VWAP from the high. Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of resistance up in here, guys. So, again, like, what does this make me think, especially when money flow is coming out? It's like, I don't know 100% just yet, right? We have to wait for price to come up there and see what the charts look like, right? But, like, is a lower high going to come in here? Is it going to come in here, right? Because if we come up to this value area low, this anchored VWAP might be confluent with the first zone. And then once you get back above that, you got to be very, very, very careful around that point of control. So, it wouldn't really be, I would just, at that point, if we do not get the lower high here at that value area low zone, I would look for the flip of support and then just play that as a typical volume profile. Look to go from the low to the POC. Be very careful around that POC because that's another place where you could put the lower high in at. And then once you flip that POC, I'll just be looking to play that as a range up to the value area high. And this is a very, very simple. I know we've been looking at a lot of levels. I tried to clean up the chart here a little bit to make it a little bit simpler for you. So, 4-hour bull div gives us a bounce to the upside potentially. But again, I'm not as interested in taking an actual position off of that. If it comes up, it comes up. I'm not really stressed about that because, again, my bias is to come sweep that low, especially if that 4-hour bull div gives us the push up without sweeping out this low here. I mean, not often that you're gonna, put in a front run of a major low like that. Kind of sus. So there you go, guys. That's what I'm looking at here. Next on Bitcoin, those are the next key support levels. And just to be aware short term, if that bull div does give us a bounce up, now you have the key levels of resistance to look at above. Huge level. And then, if we come down to 110 to 111K, huge level, right? Really praying that we get the bounce there. Even the golden pocket would be a difficult, I'm hoping that we don't even have to deal with that. That would be kind of annoying, right? I would much rather just come down, retest the range here, and then send it up. So there you go. Let me come on into the shout out to Fox3 says, big FU candle incoming for Bitcoin. Shout out to Fox3. Are you the one that always comes in and says that? I don't know. There's always like sometimes someone that comes in and says that. Big FU candle coming tomorrow or something. But shout out to Fox3. I hope so. I really do hope so. That would be very, very nice because then we wouldn't really, unless we get like a flash dump, if we could just front run that level and get an FU candle. I'm all on that team. I hope that happens, but I would say it's a lower probability situation as far as the charts go right now. All right, let's see. Shout out to Pose, said, Frankie, SOS. Can you also do TA about women's psychology? Shout out to Pose. Yeah. I would say for women's psychology TA, I would just, no matter what chart you're looking at, tall, 5'9", blonde, 5'4", brunette, it doesn't matter. You just kind of got to keep that poker face on and just, yeah, totally. You're right. Shout out to Pose. Or you could just go ahead and close out your exchange and stop trading. That is also an option. And then you'll be surprised how many of the girls will come running for you. Why isn't he interested? Oh, my God. It's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten from my father was, Frankie, don't show them attention, and trust me, they'll run from you. And I was a young little lad. Like, no, but what? But Dad, that doesn't make sense. And then I started doing it, and they started flocking to me, guys. I'm kidding. I don't think Mrs. Candles is here right now. Anyway, let's continue on here. Let's see. Shout out to Baby Genius, said, Frankie, I can imagine what is going through your mind that moment you leave the computer to check the chat. You're rolling the dice every time. Shout out to Baby Genius. Yes. I have gotten pretty good at reading the chats in my head before I say them out loud. Shout out to Dixon Applejuice. If you guys don't know who Dixon Applejuice is, you'll learn soon. But anyway, let's continue on here. Let's see. Shout out to Adva, said, you are thin and you are right. Shout out to, I'm assuming you're talking about the women's psychology. Tell us it's up only, Frankie. Shout out to music. Yeah, hopefully at some point. Again, guys, I am only going to bring you guys what is on the charts. And, are the charts going to play out 100% of the time? No. If you watch this show, you will know how often it does play out, though. So, I'm just inclined to stick to the charts. And right now, the charts say potential low time frame bounce. But, if we get the front run of that low here, again, it's just something like this is probably going to be more probable, right? But I would say, honestly, breaking above this 786 would start to look pretty good, right? Like, you start to get above this, it's like, all right, well, hey, maybe we can at least get towards that POC, but it's just like, there's so much resistance here, right? So it's like, and to be quite honest, right, we did have a lot of support down here at our value area low, which I don't remember exactly where that was sitting at the time, but we melted right through it. So, just because there is a ton of resistance, 9 out of 10 times I'd say you get some kind of reaction, but, it doesn't mean it's impossible to come up. But again, trading is a game of probabilities. Like anytime I take a trade, like even on the fake out of the all-time high here, this short position that I took, was I 100%? Like, did I take this trade and say, okay, I got a red dot on market site for B, money flow coming out, 100% probability that we're coming down to this exact level? Not at all, right? It has a lot to do with, analyzing the money flow as it develops, and then, adjusting your plan, taking profits along the way. And again, just to show this, right? Like, we don't just say this. Most of this trade is locked in, right? If I get stopped out at break even, I'm making $2,000, right? So you can only go for probabilities, right? And as high probability of a trade as this was, right, I'm always aware that we could have come down here to the value area high and sent it as new all-time highs, right? Like, there's always going to be that flip side of the coin that you have to be aware of. And a lot of people will be like, yeah, especially when people are new to the charts, they'll be like, what the heck? You're just saying it could go up or could go down. And if you ever think that, or you like say that to somebody, or you just have that thought in your process, like just say it's going up or it's going down, you're approaching the charts completely wrong, and you're never going to make money, right? Because the chart is never just going to that's becoming emotional, right? One of the most important things to do as a trader is to remove your emotional biases, right? Like, you don't want to be like, you don't want to just like cling to the idea of being right, because the market does not care about your trading idea. The market cares about buys, sells, liquidity, and say money flow, right? So as soon as something different happens on the chart, right? Like, my bias here is that we will see new all-time highs, but does that mean it's guaranteed? No, I fully understand that, right? I've been humbled by the markets plenty of times, and it wasn't until I started taking that could go up, could go down mentality into my plan where I actually started making money, because you could change your plan, you can close your trades, you can open new trades, right? And that's how you can extract money from the market, right? I'm not just going to say, if this thing started looking mega bullish tomorrow, I'm going to have to flip that, right? Because why would I just be like, yeah, but I said it was going down the other day, I have to stick to that. Why would I do that? I'd rather just make money on the other end. That's the beauty of it, right? You don't have to stick to your plan. If you manage the risk, right, you could just flip your bias and then find a new entry in the opposite direction, etc. So yeah, I mean, could you just send it here? Could we get God candles tomorrow or whatever? Maybe, right? But it's definitely the lower probability situation. I'm going to stick to that, right? And I would say probably 8 out of 10 chances, 80% chance that we're probably looking at the chart, seeing what we're looking at play out. Not because I'm a genius, not because I'm a wizard, right? We don't have a crystal ball, I swear. But it's all because of the charts, right? It's not me, it's the charts. Maybe it's a little bit of me. But anyway, let's continue on here. Shout out to Skizzle, said Bing Bong Diddy Fluid. Good Lord, I don't even know what that means. But let's continue on. That's the way. Thanks, Frankie. Shout out to Sergeant Squid. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Looks like Sergeant Squid has already taken that mentality and applied it to his trading. And he sees that it probably works. BTC needs some Viagra for a blow-off top. Good Lord. What did I walk into? God. Unbelievable. Chat is unhinged today. Let's see. Yesterday we had Golden sending us videos of him watching the live stream on his G650 private jet. Wow. Wild week this week. And Bitcoin having some just pretty wonky, nasty price action. But chat, keeping it entertaining. I love it. Frankie and the Wizard. Shout out to Gen Z. New book coming out soon. Shout out to Skizzle. Welcome in, bro. He says, Frankie, yo, what's going on, brother? Wild that the Fed Watch tool is at 86% on cutting rates, but seems like everyone is feeling like there won't be any. Yes. And that is another reason, guys, why I am, I believe the Fed prediction has, Fed Watch tool has changed here. Let me just double check this real quick. But that's another reason, right, why I'm not really on the team of like, there's just not, we have to wait for more information, right? Like, there's not enough information for me to be like, all right, that's it, guys, this is the top. Could it be? Sure. But there's just not enough information right now. And, again, like when you just look at it from a market psychology perspective, guys, like, I don't know, like this didn't seem that euphoric to me, right? It's always nice to see Bitcoin pushing into a new all-time high, but we didn't have retail flooding in. We didn't have, crazy news catalysts. Like, we didn't really have any of the, if you've ever been around in crypto, I've been through multiple cycles here. If you've ever been here through the top of a cycle, it is very clear, right? At least through, if you've ever been, say, through 3 cycles, in your second cycle, it becomes very clear where you're like, oh, I remember this from last time where everybody's saying up only, and that's where it ended up turning around. You see that euphoria come into the market, and like, fear and greed, guys, as simple as it sounds, is literally how the market moves, right? It's like when you have that euphoria, you are very typically near highs, right? We even saw this happen in this cycle in November and December, right? We had November, December. We had everything pushing to the upside. Bitcoin new all-time high. Altcoins pushing up. XRP is ripping. That felt pretty euphoric in my opinion, right? And it's, you know, and what happens, right? Like it happens like right at a macro top. It wasn't the top of the bull market, right? But it was a macro top. And then everyone's like, oh, my God, bear market, right? And then when everyone's screaming bear market, oh, my God, everyone's scared, right? That's where you see it. You know, it's very likely that those are the dips that you should be buying, right? But what do we have here? It's like, you know, the sentiment is kind of garbage, right? We definitely don't have euphoria, at least from what we've seen in the past. Like, it's nothing like what we've seen in the past. And I would say even from a YouTube perspective, right, we have like kind of a unique outlook here on the channel because we can see those analytics even when we get like local highs, right? Like with this push up here, right? Like the YouTube analytics go through the roof, right? It's very tied to the market. We just haven't really seen that happen. Especially like even back here, it was nowhere near like what you would see in something like an actual, you know, bull market top. So, you know, again, just kind of backing up why I do believe long-term, like there's arguments to make for both sides. And I would still say that the argument for the bullish case is much more probable until we wind up breaking down towards those major key levels that I brought up before. So let me just take a look at the Fed Watch tool here real quick because I think it did change. I think it's in the 70s now. Yeah, so Fed Watch is now at 75% for the rate cut. So it is going down, right? We've talked about this. It was at like 90-something%, right? And then, but we know that we have some time till September. There is plenty of time for that percentage to go down, and we can see it kind of, you know, being volatile, right? And that could go back up. It could go back down, right? There's really no, we'll just have to see what happens. But it is going down, right? Which is, you know, we'll see what happens in September. But it's at about it's at exactly 75% right now. And these are like usually spot on accurate, right? I don't think these, you know, I don't remember a time where these have been wrong. I'm sure they've been wrong at some point. But let me just take a sip of water here, guys. Good Lord. I'm in rough shape, guys. I'm not going to lie. Whew. All right. Let's see. And then we also have Bitcoin dominance coming down, all that good stuff as well that we've covered every day. I'm not going to go over that long-term stuff because I've covered it a lot recently. Got to angle the water towards the straw. All right. Let's see. Who cares what happens long term? We're all going to make it. Shout out to Gen Z. Eventually, right? Even if you bought the top, right? And this was the top of the bull market, right? Eventually, just hold long enough, right? I'm not telling you to hold to the bottom, but, you know, we talk about that all the time too, right? You could have bought the top here. Hey, look at that. You wait long enough, you're in profit. This is just how Bitcoin moves, right? Up and to the right forever. I do believe that, right? You know, I wouldn't say 100% probability, but, I mean, just look at the history of the Bitcoin chart, right? It's like the strongest asset known to man. Thing ain't never going down, right? Bitcoin's a scam. Bitcoin's a scam. Bitcoin's a scam. And then all the institutions that were talking trash about Bitcoin, I think we're going to buy it. This thing's gone up every single time. Crazy. All right, let's see. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. Let's try to run it up to 550 today. We are going to be running a bit short. Let's see. Shout out to Perry, said, Frankie, because of you, I know how to trade. I used order blocks before, but now the volume profiles are the best. Shout out to Perry, guys. The volume profiles will change your life, guys. I promise you that. As long as you have the discipline to manage your trades correctly, the volume profile is the most powerful trading tool you could possibly use. It's how we make a lot of the calls here on this channel in cooperation with other things such as money flow, etc. But absolutely, shout out to Perry, baby. I'm happy to hear that, bro. Shout out to Dave, said, how happy are all the people that bought at 69K last cycle and held until now? I mean, probably pretty happy. They're probably sitting there in shock, like, oh my God. Whew, my wife left me. Everybody doubted me, but I held on. They're all beat up. They have a black eye, but they're still in profit, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Bitcoin. Shout out to Gen Z, said, is that black colorway on the Frankie Candles hat? Is that what you're talking about? This is the all black Frankie Candles Richardson 112, proven to increase your profitability by 7,000%. I'm kidding. That was a joke. I don't want to falsely advertise. Anyway, let's see. I don't have the discipline. I don't think I'll be a good trader. I can hold, though. Hey, shout out to Sergeant Squid, bro. Listen, man, as a trader, I feel so passionate about showing people teaching people how to trade, helping them along their journey, and teaching them the high probability strategies that we have here. But I would never, you know, that's a lot of self-awareness right there. That mindset's going to get you far in your money-making journey when investing, right? If you think that maybe you're just not, you don't have the personality to have the discipline to get in and out of trades, take profit, move your stop loss, buy the lows, sell the high, not get scared on the drops, not get FOMO on the rips, you just having that self-awareness will get you so far. And I know this because I used to be the other way, right? Now I have the discipline to actually take my money off the table. Again, showing you guys on the trade that I just pulled up, actually having the wherewithal to take that money. But if you really, I always say, like, not everybody might not be cut out for trading. If you're a generally emotional person, if you are emotionally reactive in your life for other things, it's probably going to translate into your trading. And it's not that you can't do it, right? But you're going to have to work extra hard to fix those things. And that is the most important thing about trading, is controlling your psychology, controlling your risk management. And obviously the strategy and the TA has something to do with it, but I would say it's about 20%. The rest of it is it's you versus you, right? Like, when you look at the charts, you have yourself staring right back at you. If you're a panicky person, if you're a knee-jerk reaction person, if you're an emotional person, that's going to reflect in your decisions you make on the chart. And you could fix that 100% because, like I said, I went from the worst trader, like having the most emotional controls, trying to get rich overnight, trying to chase the money, losing all my money, to finally saying, that's it. I'm going to give myself 2 years to learn how to trade. I don't care if I make money. I'm just going to focus on improving the skill. And I was able to do it, but it was very difficult, right? I think some people have a little bit of an easier time. Maybe someone who's already disciplined, right? Someone who already just has like that natural, non-emotional, good emotional control. Like, I have a little bit of an easier time. But that self-awareness, bro, will get you very, very far. Trust me. Pat yourself on the back for that, bro. That is huge. That's like, a lot of people don't have that self-awareness or that accountability to themselves. So yeah. Let's see. Do you think alts will bleed when BTC drops or dominance drops and alts hold strong? Shout out to Hees. That's a great question, bro. Pretty much what I'm looking at here is, if we do, let's assume, right, if I had to make a guess here, I would say if we are going to, let's say we do put in that new low, right? Let me just pull up the levels here so we know what we're looking at. Pull up the Bybit chart, right? Let's say we do push down here. I would say if we hold here or even 108K, I think there's a pretty good chance that you could still see all-time highs. If you start breaking down to that 786 into the bear market territory, right, I would say, and again, guys, I wish it was easy to say that you just set an alert here, and the second that alert goes off, it's the bear market. It's just not how the market moves, right? Like, if someone tells you that, they're lying to you, right? That's not how it works. But what will likely happen, in my opinion, right, would be very similar to what happened in 2021, right, where you start to come down to some very key levels of support, but you have to reassess the situation. Like I said, like, was there anything on the chart here that would, for me, that was like, oh my God, we hit 69K, that's the top. That is so, like, you can try to do that, right? And you might try it 100 times, you might be right 3 times, right? But it's very hard to say, right? There might not be something super, super obvious here that says the top is in, but once you get that drop to the downside, right, you start to look at your money flow here. Well, okay, now your daily money flow is coming down. So what are you anticipating based off the daily time frame? You're going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows, right? And then you start going to the lower lows, and you're saying, like, all right, now we're getting some big consolidation. Let me hop up to some of these higher time frames and look at our money flow here now. All right, now our 5-day money flows crossed over into the red. This is likely going to leak into the 6-day and the weekly. And when you look at that weekly money flow, it is tanking to the downside at this point. And what is your bias here? Your bias is lower highs and lower lows. And just a little tip here, guys, on Market Cypher B on the weekly, when you have money flow coming out like this and it crosses over into the red, every single time, like, go back test it, right? Every single time, this has signaled the bear market. Every single time, right? You wiggle around, but money flow crosses into the red. And it's not that you have to wait for the weekly money flow crossover, right? But you can kind of see the early warning signs on things like the 5-day, right? The 5-day crosses over here. The 6-day crosses over slightly after, right? And then the weekly crosses over right here, right? It's a little it fakes out into the green, right? But again, when you spend this much time in the green, those fake outs into the green are oftentimes going to continue the trend down, right? So you have like multiple warning shots here, right? 5-day, oh God. 6-day, oh God, right? So your bias is here, daily crosses over early. You get the lower high, the lower low. Then you get the 5-day, all right, lower highs, lower lows, right? Now you're looking here like, hey, this could be the big retracement before the move to the downside. And like, this is kind of where you can look for what the altcoins are doing. If we push down to that 786, right? And this is kind of what I'll be thinking about if we do wind up coming down there. Let's come on to a lower time frame, right? If you do wind up getting that push down to the 786, like, you got to really all eyes on that weekly money flow, the 5-day money flow, the 6-day money flow, and especially the weekly money flow, because if you start to kind of like bear flag out here, right, like, you're going to have to be looking for those macro retracements for lower highs and lower lows. And if that money flow crossover is coming out and that lower high and lower low is based off the weekly time frame, that lower low could lead you into the bear market just like it did here in 2021. So what I would be saying is, on that 786 bounce, right, are the altcoins getting the big pops up as we would expect? I would just, the money flow is going to be the big indication on the bounce back up. And that's if we have to deal with this, guys. Hopefully my base case plays out. Hopefully our base case plays out, right? come down, retest the structure, and then, it'll be healthy, right? You just get that push into new all-time highs. Money flow would likely on the weekly not be tanking to the downside. Right, we could easily get another push up here. You can see new all-time highs on Bitcoin. Alt season comes in, and it's like all butterflies and rainbows, right? We see the alt season everybody wants to see, and it's that beautiful, beautiful thing, right? But in the bearish case, it's like you only have to really worry about that when we come down here. Again, it's not you tap this level; it's bear market, right? But it's like, okay, now we have to start to scratch our heads and say, this is looking a little bit similar to what happened last time, right? Meaning in 2021. So, and I'll walk you guys through it every step of the way, right? We come down to any of these levels. We come down here, I'll be right there. Come down here, I'll be right there. Come down here, I'll be right there, giving you my exact thought process on what I'll be looking for. And hopefully we can help people from not round tripping their bags. But I do still think that the base case here for me personally is bullish. Long term, right? Doesn't mean, the push down to, push down to the golden pocket here would be very scary. And if you have to go down to that 786 and the bear market and money flow still looks good, it's still not going to be fun to see a drop down like that because the altcoins are also going to get hammered off that. So yeah. But let's see. And again, taking a look at Ethereum, right? There's nothing on this Ethereum chart, guys. Like, this looks like a strong chart to me. There's nothing here that makes me think oh my God, this looks like the top. I mean, this looks more similar to Bitcoin before it put in its massive run. Right? So, this looks good to me. It doesn't mean it can't come down, but this is much more indicative to me of higher lows and higher highs into new all-time highs. But it doesn't mean you can't retrace more, and it also doesn't mean that has to play out. It would just be something that we've never seen before, which is definitely possible, but that's never my base case. This time is different, is always possible, but never my base case, and there's a reason for that. Everyone who said this time is different anywhere have always been wrong, right? Eventually they'll be right? A broken clock is right twice a day. But it's never my base case, but you always have to kind of keep it in the back of your mind. Hey, things develop differently in each cycle. Maybe, we get some, if we go into a deep recession or something crazy happens, right? Bitcoin hasn't really been in an environment like that. Another big thing to keep an eye on, right, are the traditional markets, right? We have, everything here. You have the SPY, massive rips to the upside. I still do think you can continue up here as long as we don't break any key levels. I'm not going to break down the stock market TA for today, but we also have the RTY, which is what we keep an eye on very often, which is the Russell 2000, which is pretty much the altcoin market for stocks. It's the lower cap stocks, very similar to the altcoin market, right? This thing is tapping its head on the doorway to higher prices. But at the same time, right, when you tap your head on the doorway to higher prices, you still have to get above it to see those higher prices, right? It's massive resistance until proven otherwise. Last time we came up to this level, we tapped our head, massive correction, and then boom, we broke out. And when was this? This was in November and December, right? October, November, December of 2024. What was happening there on the altcoins? What was happening there on Bitcoin, guys? Everything was going ballistic, right? So it's probably going to play out very similarly, right? October, November, December, everything was going absolutely insane. So this is something you can also look for because, again, Bitcoin essentially follows the traditional markets. I know people like to say, no, but the 4-year cycle, it's different. You don't understand the halvings. Trust me, I understand the halvings. I don't think it has no effect, right? Obviously, every time Bitcoin becomes harder to mine, it becomes more rare, it increases the price, right? And that's just kind of basic supply and demand. But there's no way to dispute that Bitcoin, if the stock market takes a huge dump, the chances of Bitcoin and crypto following is 99.9%, right? Because we've seen that happen every single time. Until... right, we see all traditional finance go down, but Bitcoin goes up for some reason and crypto goes up for some reason, which is super low probability. But if that happens, then we can say, well, hey, now we've seen a deviation here. But up until now, we have not really seen a deviation there. So, it is definitely you guys know the eye emoji, and then they have the one on Discord. They have the eye emoji that's shaking. That's how I feel right now on crypto. It's everything's lining up. Bitcoin dominance coming down. Ethereum's chart looks good. We potential rate cuts coming down the line. Hopefully, it's the Russell just pushing up against this resistance. We have even if you look at total, we have so many charts that are at these critical moments, but they're massive resistance until proven otherwise. So it's if it's gonna happen, we're close, but you gotta get through that wall. One bad tweet, one sneeze. Something can happen. So, but again, we'll keep you updated every single step of the way. Let's see. Shout out to David Allen. Says, Frankie wakes up in the morning, rolls over to that what? To that beautiful woman lying beside him and lovingly says, shout out to Mrs. Candles. Shout out to David. I can't confirm nor deny that. Let's see. Shout out to Creighton C. Thank you for the super chat. Says, I concur. Doctor does things. I think he's referring to Darren does things. He says, do you concur? We have a concurrence, Lord Candles. Tony said you like to be called that. Looking for a sweep of the August lows to get the real bounce. Friday trap down to the daily MPOC 108.7, 382 Fibonacci retrace. Yo, Creighton comes in here with some slappers sometimes. I'm not going to lie. So let's take a look at that. Let's actually pull this chart up, right? So let's pull up. Let's just pull up like the 8-hour here. So he's looking to push down into this pretty much the golden pocket zone. Yeah, take out the August lows, push into the 107. Yeah, I mean, listen, that would be like the most beautiful technical play out ever, right? And like, why would that be so technical? Well, if we just take everything off the chart here, and if I were, which luckily I'm not, right? But if I was just stuck only looking at Fibonacci retracements, like what would I be looking at here? Swing low to swing high. Should I be panicking here? Not really, right? Because that could be a beautiful place to put in a higher low and a higher high to continue. Healthy golden pocket retracement to continue and then send it back up to higher prices. That's pretty much the base case there, right? If we have to come down there. 786 is really that line in the sand. So shout out to Creighton C. I think I concur with your concurrence. We have a confluence of concurrence, and I concur with your concurrence. Shout out to Creighton C and Dave Digital, but Darren does things. Let's see. If we lose 111K, then 108K is very strong support zone, right? Yeah, shout out to Eugene Sky. I would say that, yes. Shout out to H-Bar to the moon. Said the last thing I had run concurrent were felony charges. H-Bar, what'd you do, brother? What'd you do? He's out there, I don't know. What'd you do? Pulling some Bitcoin heist or something. But let's see. Yeah, shout out to, he says, Frankie, this is my third bull run, but I swear this one feels different. Bitcoin exploded without the hype of retail, and nothing crazy happened for alts. Shout out to He's, yes, 100%. I would agree with you there, bro. I always say this, right? Like, every cycle has its own little quirk, right? Like, blow off top, double top, all-time high before the halving, right? It's like, we had a lot of this stuff happen. There's always been different quirks in each cycle, but I would say this has definitely been the most difficult cycle for altcoins that I've been through, right? For Bitcoin, I would say, it hasn't really been that bad. Personally, right, I just see this is like one of the cleanest, healthiest uptrends that you can ask for. But for the altcoins, I would agree with you there, right? Like, we had a little bit of retail excitement, like, on these runs, but, like, nothing super, super euphoric. And, it makes sense, right? Because you, like, get that push up, everyone gets euphoric, and then they have these massive consolidations of, say, 203 days where it's like all the new retail that comes in, right? What are they thinking? They're thinking, oh my God, this is going up forever. This is my chance to get rich in crypto, right? But unbeknownst to them, they're buying the top, right? And then they get shaken out on these. Oh my God, they get shaken out on these dumps. They're like, oh my God, I thought I was going to get rich overnight. What happened? We're down 2%. What happened? But, then these long drawn out, even downward trending ranges are like super, super brutal for a lot of people, especially for new retail. So it's like, they kind of come in a little bit, numbers go up. I could see that from the YouTube channel. You can look at the search term analytics, etc. But then they have these like long shakeout periods. Oh my God, euphoria. And then you have that long shakeout period and then a massive dump, which scared a lot of people. I've never had more DMs in my life. I had some down here asking me if this was the bear market, but down here, I was, as we were looking for higher lows and higher highs, which we did get, by the way, people just, almost angry that I was looking at that, which is weird, right? Because usually people are angry when I'm saying it's going down, which we were saying up here. But, it is, it's definitely been brutal, right? Because like on something like this, it's like, the retail comes in, they're like, oh my God, new all-time high on Bitcoin. And then it's just like, so yeah, it definitely has been pretty brutal sentiment-wise. And again, we are getting to that place, right? We pulled up that cycle chart. Is this it? Yeah, we have this cycle chart that we looked at yesterday, and it's like we're getting very, very close, guys. We're getting very, 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 very close for enough time to have played out here, or enough time to, pass through to have a full bull market play out, right? Like the furthest we've gone here to see an all-time high after the halving was 548 days, right? Which was, or 546 days. 525 days in 2017, 546 days to the second top in 2021, which, as you guys know, I am a believer that this was the actual top. This is when sentiment peaked. This is where, we had a lot of excitement, right? And then we had that little drop and then this kind of dead cat bounce. I think this was some kind of weird inflated bounce. I would say, like, it's kind of weird because I would say, like, it would have made a lot more sense here for the top to come in here, right, which is 336 days, very similar to the 364 days back here in 2014. But, it's like almost like, you had the bearish divergence was a very nice signal for at least some kind of a pullback, but it was almost like this would have been much cleaner if it was a high, low, lower high, and then a lower low into the bear market. But you just had this little inflated dead cat bounce. The interest, the euphoria, the retail was just not here on that second peak, right? And why was it? Because a lot of people probably came in here, right, and then they just got totally stepped on. They left the market, and then, it just wasn't, the sentiment just was not there on that second peak. So, every cycle is a little bit different, but again, as we come up here, the reason I kind of gave those warning shots last night, not warning shots, but just more of like me playing devil's advocate against the bullish case here is because, when we came up here and people were asking me if this was the bear market, in my opinion, super low probability. Like the chances of Bitcoin coming up here and cracking its all-time high by like nothing, right? Like a couple percent is very unlikely, right? And timing-wise, it's like we had the halving. It's like it's very unlikely that the top comes in right there. Right? That would be insane. That would be so much different than what we've seen in the past. And so from a timing perspective, it just didn't make sense for that to be the top. Same thing here. It's like, this was a little bit more likely, but again, just from a timing perspective, from a macroeconomic perspective, it just didn't make sense. But the further we get in here, guys, approaching, this timeline, it does get more and more dangerous when we start to see those bearish divergences, and you can actually see this on the monthly time frame. We could be potentially forming a big monthly bearish divergence up here, which is something to pay mind to, right? It doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's the top, but, we really got to start getting cooking here, to be quite honest. I do still think, again, I don't want to spread fear. I don't want people to think I'm like super bearish long term. My base case is bullish, but you just got to always keep it in the back of your mind. And trust me, you guys will thank me. If that winds up getting that bearish case, you're going to be like, oh my God, I wouldn't have even been thinking about this if Frankie didn't, explain it to me, right? And that's why I'm here. Let's see. Hey, shout out to Hees. Says, never donated to a person online, not even OnlyFans. Shout out to Hees. I'm actually proud to say I don't even know what the user interface looks like on OnlyFans. Like OnlyFans notification goes off on my phone. No, but not even on OnlyFans, but I really get the feeling that you care about your followers, answering every question. GOAT. Shout out to Hees. Absolutely, bro. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the super chat. And just thank you for the kind words over that, bro. Thank you so much for saying that. It is true, bro. I'm here to help people. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I was just up here telling people to, create a meme coin, I don't understand how people do that, right? There's evil that exists in the world, but I just don't understand how influencers can just be like, buy my meme coin, and then they're just like, and then they just dump it. It's like, what a scumbag move. I could never do that. It's just, how do these people look at their parents in the face, or just sleep at night? I just couldn't do that. I get much more joy out of helping people. It's comments like this. This is why I get up here and do this every day. And I see people make progress in whether it's in their scalping, their day trading, or their long-term investing, or you just help me understand crypto more. That's why we do it, bro. I literally have goosebumps when people tell me that. So shout out to Hees, bro. Welcome in. Thank you for being here, bro. And thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Moment said I use AC. I don't even own a fan. Shout out to Moment. I actually don't use AC. I only use fans. So anyway, let's continue on here. I'd rather pay in real life than on OnlyFans, but actually I'd rather just buy more crypto. Shout out to Jets. That's I'd agree with that. Let's see. Nirvana said, sure. Nobody told you what Frankie does when he gets a super chat. Hey, he's send me a DM. I got some pictures to send you, bro. It's just going to be pictures of my calves. Anyway, let's shut up to Tony T. Let's continue on. Yo, Tony said, Tony Rose. I'm calling you Tony Roaz, bro. I can't believe I've been calling you the wrong name this whole time. But Tony Roaz says, rug me, Frankie. Oh, God. Anyway, if Bitcoin hits 108K, what does that look like for ETH? Well, let's take a look here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the altcoins. I know I said that yesterday, but like I said, guys, I'm kind of like I'm in rough shape right now. I don't know what happened. I didn't get good sleep last night or something. Maybe I'm getting sick. Hopefully not. But I would just say, what does that look like for Ethereum? Let me pull up the alt chart real quick. I mean, this looks like a strong chart to me, right? And you might say, like, but Frankie, what about that 12-hour money flow coming out? Sure, right? That would be like medium-term bearish, but I mean, we're at the highs, and obviously we are going to expect some resistance here at those highs, right? We barely actually, let me pull up the actual targets that we looked at on the ETH update. If you guys are not subscribed to the channel and you missed this, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next update, because as Bitcoin, Ethereum was pushing up here, like this was our next target, and not only is that nice to see because you can like anticipate where that next target is going to be in case you're in like a long position or something, but you also understand like where you're going to get resistance from, right? Like I see so many people come in and they're like, oh, ETH was pumping and now it's just going back down. And it's like, you gotta study a little bit, right? Because like if you're anticipating this target to get hit, like what do you see on the charts? It's like, well, resistance is resistancing, right? Like this is just like where you would expect a pullback, right? And especially when you start looking at money flow, right? You can look at money flow on lower time frames, maybe the 4 hour. 4 hours pretty thick up there, but you can look at like lower time frame money flow. But when you get up here, like it's in anticipation, right? If I was in a long position from down here, I would definitely be taking profits here, not because I think it's going to zero, but because reactions here are very likely, right? So I wouldn't say like not only is there nothing really saying that the top is in on Ethereum. I mean, could this come down and go into a full blown bear market? Sure. But my bias would be that this thing is going to come and take the highs at some point, right? So I mean, it's very hard for me to say. I mean, you could just get like the multiples, right? So if you go from like the high of Ethereum to the low here, 15%. What was that on Bitcoin? %, right? So like you can kind of do that math. But I would say from like a structural perspective, like the big support to be looking at on Ethereum for me is going to be, let me just pull up the other levels that we had here. Where's that 2021 range? Bada boom, right? Like massive support here at 35.30, right? I don't really want to crack this low, to be quite honest with you. Now, does it mean it's going to zero? Not necessarily, right? You have your high, your low, your low, your high, your higher low, your higher high. I mean, actually, let me pull up this upper range as well. Right, so like local key support on Ethereum is going to be sitting right here. And there's the POC tap. We talked about this at the beginning of the week, or maybe even last week, talking about how, hey, fake out above the high, get back into your range. Can't get out. What are you expecting, right? This is the beautiful profit, I guess profit as in like a profit, but the beautiful like predictive nature of the volume profiles, right? Like once you get in there and you cannot break out, right? And again, this could be analyzed and predicted through money flow coming out, etc. But once you can't get out of this value area high, the next likely place for price to go in a magical, magnetic way is that point of control. Right there. In, rejection, POC is next. 9 out of 10 times I want. It's probably closer to 8 out of 10 times, but I want to say 9 out of 10 times you're going to see this play out on the volume profiles, right? So, and then eventually, right, if you cannot, just get the strong bounce off the POC and you kind of wiggle around up here, the full anticipation of that volume profile is to get the whole rotation of the range down to the value area low, which does sit at about 39.34. So, this is also confluent with these range highs. This is also confluent with your macro 786 sitting here in the middle, which I don't have on the chart right now. I got to have it here somewhere, right here, 786 sitting at $4,015, right? So like this is huge support on Ethereum, but I would say locally, if you break down below that, you really, in my opinion, it's not impossible to come down here and test 35.35, right, at the value area high. And I compared this yesterday to Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin on the higher time frames did the very same thing, right? Like, and let me actually pull this up. I'll pull it up like this, right? So you have your Bitcoin on the top, and we'll put Ethereum on the bottom, right? And just to show you this, right? It's almost the exact same thing, right? So if you're scared, right? Again, like I can't guarantee it's going to play out like this. Right? Let me just pull this profile. This is like almost the exact same thing. What is this? Weekly. Let's pull this up on the weekly as well, right? So Same exact 2021 volume profile. I'm going to have to pull it fresh, right? So you have your boom. This is the same. Hang on. Bear with me, guys. I got to see where do I have that exact profile pulled from. Boom. So let me pull it. Okay. So when you look at this, this is the same exact thing. I'll pull the box. There's your profile. There's your profile. Big drop into the bear market. Big drop into the bear market. Undervalued price. Undervalued price. Once you cross the value area low, you anticipate the full fill of the range. Once you break the value area low, you anticipate the full fill of the range. And this is where things got a little bit different on Ethereum. Bitcoin did what you would expect. Bitcoin broke out above its macro 786, which is the doorway to new all-time highs. You chopped around, and you even came back down to retest the range highs before finally getting the new all-time high. I know you put a new all-time high in here, but I'm talking about big boy all-time highs, not $5, right? You break out, Ethereum got rejected. Rejected. Filled the range again, just showing the power of the volume profiles, right? Back from the low, back to the high, rejected again. But now we're seeing the same range, same 786. Break above it, you could chop around for a little bit and potentially retest the range high. You can break above it, range around a little bit, potentially test the range high. I prefer the biggest level here on Ethereum at 3540 to hold, right? I would prefer for that to hold. If we break in, we can approach some of those lower levels as price action develops. But this is very, very, very similar to what happened on Bitcoin before it went off into its massive run. This is an indication to me. This ETH chart looks much more probable to break out than just go into a massive bear market. And it would also be super weird to see Ethereum not make a new all-time high in a bull market, right? So hopefully, you can screenshot this if you want, right? And try to replicate it on your own chart, right? It is literally the same exact setup. And again, it doesn't mean it has to play out in the exact same way. But this is the same profile. It's the same macro 786. Like, this 786 is absolutely massive. You break it, all-time highs. Slam down, you break it, play around. I would be looking for all-time highs. But it could still, 20%, 23% pullback. And even if we have to maybe go lower, right, this is all going to depend on kind of what Bitcoin looks like, what money flow looks like, if we have to approach some of those lower levels on Ethereum. But, just to show you, right, like Ethereum just did something more like this. And now it's doing that, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you break back into this range, it is a little bit of a sticky situation because it could call for another rotation of that range, which would be insane to see this rotate from all the way back in 2021. This range pull stops all the way here. It would be insane to have rotation. It's like, that would be insane. But yeah, not impossible. But that's why, just to show you the context of, like, if we do get the pullbacks, like, how important that value area high is going to be, in my own personal opinion. And just to kind of show you guys, these volume profiles are very, very, very predictive. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. Gives you some peace of mind, or helps you out in some way. So there you go. Thanks for the analysis, Frankie. Just subscribed. Great job. Awesome channel. Hey, shout out to Michael Prime. I appreciate that, bro. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys. You don't want to miss the urgent market updates. I can't tell you how many times. And again, I'm not like tooting my own horn or anything. I teach this for free. My goal here is to have you guys not be a slave to my TA. Take what I teach and be able to do it on your own. And then, chances are if we teach you and we do good service for you, you'll probably just come hang out anyway. But yeah, it's, how many times we have market updates, even on Ethereum recently, we had that market update and it's like, we're watching that target and, we go live and we're like, well, hey guys, look, if you saw the market update from earlier on ETH, now we're sitting at the target. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. And if you guys want to learn how to trade, if you want to learn how to do TA, check out the channel. It's a free beginner's trading course. That's free of charge. Check the beginner series out, run through all the tutorials, do the work, and make some money. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Yo, Golden in the chat. Let's go. He said this TA is fire. Shout out to Golden. Welcome in, bro. Welcome in. Drop those golden emojis if you got them. And if you were here yesterday, guys, Golden's a wild boy. He was watching the live stream from his private jet, and we showed proof, pictures, videos. Wild. Golden is a mythical creature, guys. But let's see. Shout out to Alan said, thank you, Frankie. You're helping me learn and keep my head from exploding. Shout out to Alan. Yeah, we're here. We're here. We have to settle your fear, and I have to do it on the other end too, which people don't like. I got to suppress the FOMO as well, and that's why anytime I said yesterday, you guys will see me be contrarian very oftentimes, right? It's typically when everybody's like, and it really just comes down to like not understanding how the market moves. Like people think green candles means it's bullish, and like yes, that's true, right? But oftentimes that is not where you want to get bullish. You want to get bullish at the lows. And if you watch this channel long enough, you will know even down here on Ethereum, down at $1,300, right? We were talking about how, like, we don't know how much lower people want this to go. It's the second largest crypto by market cap. Like, there is no reason to think that Ethereum is going to zero, in my personal opinion, especially when you look at the chart, when you start to pull up that major volume profile that you have, right? All you see that as is undervalued price to get back in the range and fill it, at least fill it. If not, get on top and break it out into new all-time highs. It's exactly how we made the call here on Bitcoin for new all-time highs as well, right? I literally made this call based off the volume profiles. I had a pre-recorded video saying if Bitcoin breaks this level, we are going in bull run, right? Bull run mode activated once you get inside here, because at that point, there's your undervalued price. That was your chance to accumulate in the bear market. Once you get back in here, you're inside the fair value, meaning no longer undervalued, and you can look to fill that range to the high, and then you start looking at a cycle perspective. You're like, oh, hey, having coming up, let's start the bull run, right? Absolutely beautiful. It's all thanks to the volume profile. Shout out to Jay Violet. Thank you for getting that membership. Welcome in. Oh, wait, she gifted the membership. Let's go. Shout out to Jay Violet. Thank you for gifting the membership. I actually can't do the lights here because I threw the remote. But shout out to Jay Violet. Thank you for gifting those memberships. All right, let's continue on. Shout out to Pennywise. Said Jay Violet. Hashtag Givers Gain. Let's get it. Let's get it. Golden is the shout out to Golden's the real messiah. Shout out to Fabio. Bitcoin shower, or it's a waterfall, Nirvana, not a shower. Golden waterfall. Shout out to Nirvana. Learning from Frankie is 100% legit. You got to take advantage of the opportunity, and he is here 100. Let's go. Shout out to Gen Z. Let's get it, baby. I've seen Gen Z grow as a trader, man. It is the coolest thing in the world. It's like, I don't know. It's like the coolest thing. Like, because I went through my journey, and my journey was miserable because I had the worst mentality. I had the worst psychology. I was the worst trader, guys. And being able to see other people kind of if I'm able to help you take some time off your journey, makes my mistakes worth every single minute. Let's see. All right, so I'm not going to cover the Asia market opens in 1 minute. Nervous AF. Shout out to Broken Scroll. Yeah. Usually New York will give you the biggest of a volatility, but I mean, let's go lower time frame here real quick on good old Biddy. Yeah, she's just kind of wiggling around there. So, again, short term, guys, I would watch the 4-hour bull div. If you can get that green dot, give you the 4-hour bullish divergence. Watch out for those retracements. Biggest key levels of resistance to look at are going to be the value area low daily MPOC, sitting between 14,913 and 114,913 and 115,688. I would say this is the biggest level to flip to support to see some kind of strength come in. And then once you get above there, I'd be watching the POC. I wish I could say super high probability of a fill of the range, but unless money flow looks amazing up here, I am definitely going to be very cautious around the midpoint of this range, right? The point of control. You have the daily MPOC. And yeah, watch this anchored VWAP from the high as well. This is something you can easily get on your chart. You just grab that anchored VWAP down here, come to your projection tools, anchored VWAP, click it onto the all-time high. And to get your settings looking like this, yours won't look like that by default. You can check out the tutorial in the beginner series. I show you many ways you can use this anchored VWAP, not only to find beautiful, beautiful sniper entries into your scalp trades, but also identify macro trend changes in the market. So definitely check that out. So yeah, I would say Ethereum, just to kind of answer that, super, I kind of got sidetracked there, but just to kind of answer your question there on Ethereum, I would say the biggest levels of support to watch locally, POC just underneath you. If you lose that, your next big key level is going to be 786 value area low. It would be beautiful. Like, even if you have to deviate below here, get back in. Maybe you can come back up to the top of the range. But if you wind up losing this range, I would definitely have all eyes on that 35-34 level, which is huge support, not only from a technical perspective, but from a contextual perspective, like what I just showed you against the Bitcoin chart. You might have to go retest that range high before sending it back up. So that's what I would be looking at. And before, guys, like I said, I am probably going to end a little bit early today. But before I let you go, I do just want to take a look at Bitcoin and show you one little last range that you could take a look at locally that can help you guide you on the way if we do get a bounce off that 4-hour bullish divergence. Again, my bias will be lower highs, lower lows, because of this untapped low down here. And let me actually pull up the liquidation heat map really quickly as well. But I'm going to show you this range in just a second. But let me just check out some of this liquidity here on the heat map. Yeah, let's see. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We do still have some of this liquidity sitting down here. It'd make a lot of sense to go sweep that out, right? So, does not guarantee, but it would make a lot of sense. So what I would be looking for is a sweep into this zone. You got the $111,000 POC right underneath you. I will be looking for bounces from that level if we can get it. And then if we do bounce early, something I would look at here, guys, is going to be the lower volume profile. This does sit between 112,626 and a 114,266 POC. POC 114,266, value area low 112,626, and then your value area high is right on your next key level of resistance, which is the value area low of the macro range. So if we do get a kind of intraday bounce, I guess you can kind of call it intranight bounce, I guess, I would much prefer sweep into the low and then get back into this range to fill it. But if we get the bounce early, I would say locally, if you could flip 112,650, hold inside here, that's kind of where you can look for the guide to bring you up to that POC, and then potentially into your major resistance up here between the daily MPOC and the value area high / value area low. So yeah, I'm going to come back in the chat real quick here. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Aaron, said, are you pulling the volume profiles from previous high or current price action on ETH? The Ethereum volume profile, just pull it up, is not pulled to current price action, right? I'll actually pull up a clean ETH chart just to kind of show you, right? So the current profile that I'm showing you is only over the 2021 range here, right? This is where that profile is pulled at, right? And then I just extend those levels to the right, which just showed you the power of the volume profiles, right? It's like, this is not even, like, this is a past previous volume profile, and just look how beautiful this is. Hold the low, POC, value area high. Deviate above, back in, deviate above, back in, can't get out, rotate back to the low, back above the POC, into the high, deviate above, can't get out, back to the POC, back to the low, deviate below, undervalued, back in, POC, hold above the value area low, push into the value area high, right? And hopefully this is the breakout. But for what it's worth, I can pull it. Well, actually, let me just do it on that chart. Might as well, right? You can pull it to current price action as well. I mean, at this point, we did this yesterday, right? Because you're kind of just, in like some kind of like massive range, right? So you can technically, the way I pull my profiles, you could pull this to your current price, right? And then just clean this up. Right? You could look at it like this as well. And I mean, even this, right? Like whether you were looking at the previous one or the old one, right? If you look at the current profile, let me actually pull this back here. Yeah, like if you were looking at this previous profile, like even more reason to not be bearish on Ethereum at the range low, right? Like why would you get bearish on Ethereum after you've already gotten the big drop to the downside? It makes no sense to me. And obviously, whether you're looking at it as a tap of the value area low to get back into the POC, push back up to the high, absolutely beautiful. Or if you're looking at it in the way that I look at it, right, with the previous volume profile, it's pretty much the same thing, but you're just looking at this as undervalued, and then once you get above here, you're very likely to hold and send it to the upside. So I usually pull my volume profiles over the previous. I usually look at previous volume profiles, but 100% you can extend that and view it from that different perspective as well. So there you go. And technically, you could pull a volume profile from anywhere. There's no wrong way to pull a profile. I would say there's preferable ways, right? I would never just pull a profile like this, just randomly. But at the end of the day, if I hide everything here, right? Like, is this going to be useless levels? I mean, all of these levels are respected. POC, you cling to it as POCs typically do, right? You get above it, push into the high, breakout, support on the high, support on the high, support on the high, break back in, right? So obviously you're not going to have that clean range view, right? Could even pull this as a range if you wanted that range view, high, low, high, low. But, technically these levels are going to get respected, right? Because they're based off volume. These are not just like imaginary lines. So that point of control is always going to show you where the most volume was transacted within this price action, right? So that's why they always work. Because they're not just like drawing a random horizontal line. Like it's very easy to like misplace a horizontal level of support or resistance, right? Not saying you can't use them, but because it's based off of volume, like doesn't matter where you pull them from, like they're probably going to get respected, right? This random value area high, I guess I pulled it from the high to the low, right? If I put this line here, I mean, more often than not, they're going to get respected. So there you go. All right. Let's see. Oops. Bada boom. Let's see. No alls today. Yeah, shout out to Perry. I am probably gonna wrap it up in a couple of minutes here because I low key feel like garbage, to be honest with you guys. Right before the stream, I was talking to Tony D and I was like, I don't know, man. Like I feel like trash. And then he's like, man, just do an update or something. And I was like, screw it. We'll just go live. So I didn't want to cancel on you guys, but I really do. I want to try to take a break here because I was up late last night. I tried to do a short stream yesterday because I had a lot of important stuff to do. And then I wound up doing that till like 3 in the morning yesterday because I had to get it done and kind of bit me in the butt. But we still did. I mean, we're almost here at the 2-hour stream anyway. But yeah, I covered Ethereum. I'll cover Solana and XRP as well. I'm not going to cover all of them. Or I'm not going to take any requests today. I will still cover some of the altcoins. But, taking a look at Solana, right? Like, I mean, there's honestly not much to update here, if I'm being totally honest, right? Got the bounce here from the daily MPOC. We're just kind of bing-bonging around here. And even if I take this stuff off the chart, when did we hit this? Let me come on down to the 1 hour real quick. Yeah, so we hit this yesterday at 11 p.m., right? So that's how I try to find my bearings on, like, what we were looking at the time. Golden pocket retracement, like that's your major resistance level, right? Come up here, tapped it at 11, back down below the value area low, right? So this has now been tapped. I mean, you're just bing-bonging around here pretty much between your volume profiles. If you lose this golden pocket, daily MPOC, if you lose 100 and, I'll be honest, like I would still probably be a little bit interested in a bounce if we could come down here and tap into that daily MPOC, you might be able to get a little bounce, but I would still be viewing that as, like would I be looking for that to be like a massive bounce to the upside, or would I be looking for lower highs and lower lows? Look no further than the money flow, guys. I mean, money flow is trending out, right? So like potential opportunity to come down here to like between about 173 and 172, hold that daily MPOC and maybe get a bounce, but I would still be very careful. Like this would be looked at as more of a day trade rather than just looking for that to rip up to all-time highs. And the reason for that is obviously because of money flow, right? If you want a big continuation on a money flow crossover, you want money flow crossing into the green. This back here would indicate higher lows and higher highs. Massive continuation up. And this is the 16-hour. We also had the 2-day money flow crossing over as well down here. Massive continuation to the upside. But right now on the 16-hour, money flow is coming out. So you'd have to anticipate some kind of a continuation down if you do get that bounce. So, key levels still, I would say value area low at 184.10. Technically, your doorway to higher prices, but based off the context, I just don't know how. It's the same thing as yesterday, right? Like, I just don't know how probable it is for you to hold inside that zone because of your money flow. Right? If we have money flow crossing into the green, right, I'd be looking for a break, retest, and send it through the profile. But at this point, money flow is coming out. So I would be more just like yesterday, high, low, lower, high. Could look for bounces here, but I'd still be looking for continuations down based off money flow, right? Next key level, if we break down below that MPOC and we do not get a bounce, is going to be the 786 sitting at 167.10. Anchored VWAP would hopefully become confluent with this level when we approach it. If you do have to come down here, hopefully that anchored VWAP is confluent. I would like that as support if that anchored VWAP comes up. So yeah, other than that, everything remains the same on Solana. Take a quick look at XRP. Same thing here, right? I would personally, and this is not to, these are never trade signals or anything, but we're stuck below the anchored VWAP. This was our key level yesterday. It was key level for a while, right? We held the golden pocket, got the bounce. You're hoping to hold the anchored VWAP. Once you lose it, we got the bearish retest. I mean, I'd be looking for a continuation down here as well. It doesn't mean you have to come down on this candle right now, right? You can potentially bing bong around, but if we lose this golden pocket, I'm looking down towards 250 and 260. That's been our key level on XRP for a while and will remain the key level on XRP until we hit it, right? And hopefully it holds. If not, the biggest level I would be looking at for a potentially big bounce would be the 786 daily MPOC confluence at 229. So, yeah, I mean, that all remains the same. I wish I had more to update here, to be honest with you. But even the daily money flow kind of kicking back up into the green, but I would be suspicious here. 16-hour, 12-hour money flow crossing into the red, fresh 16-hour red dot. So I'm just kind of waiting for this thing to kind of, work itself out. And we looked at this new chart yesterday, bringing up local resistance. So I'll bring this up as well. So locally, I mean, when was this? So this was, golden pocket, daily MPOC 786, major resistance. And because of money flow, you are going to be looking for high, low, lower high, potential lower lows. So, yeah, I mean, I would say, biggest level, 250 to 260 as your macro support. Locally, you can watch this value area low. But even if you get back in here, it's hard for me to say, even if we broke above this resistance, guys, up here between 310 all the way up to 319, this is massive resistance. I'd be interested in shorts up here potentially. Yeah, I mean, we looked at this yesterday. I mean, something like this. I mean, maybe even if you push up towards that POC, not a trade signal. You have to know what to look for, right? You have to know the entry triggers. This is really what we look at in the premium Discord, kind of talking about how to look for the entry triggers, what we actually want to see up here to enter the trade. But, as a key level, right, this could be, high, low, lower, high, and then looking to come crack those lows potentially towards 250 to 260. Could be a potential opportunity up there, right? Not a trade signal, just an idea, Something like that. I mean, we'll see what happens. You got to get those confirmations up there. We have to reassess the situation, but I mean, this is huge resistance. Daily horizontal, daily MPOC, point of control of the range, golden pocket retracement, weekly horizontal, anchored VWAP from the all-time high. Huge resistance. Can't unsee that, right? Chances are if you come up here, I'd say there's 9 out of 10, a 90% chance that you're at least going to get some kind of a reaction off of that. If not, it's going to be a lower high, right? Because it's also confluent with that golden pocket retracement, which is where you could put in a high, a lower high, and a lower low. Where you look for the lower high right inside that golden pocket retracement. Golden pocket 786 technically. But the confluence is more on the golden pocket. So something like that is what I would look for on XRP. But other than that, key levels remain the same. So there you go. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Creighton C. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said, hey, bed, we got it. A little soup. Oh, bed, we got it. A little soup, herbal tea, and sleep. Tony, grab him, drag him off. You got your streaming fix now. Go. Shout out. Yeah, it is kind of like a, it is a little bit of a, I'm not going to lie, guys. It is a little bit of an addiction. It's hard to come up here and not want to hang out, right? Especially when people are interacting, asking questions, and it's, yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know, passion. Passion drives my insanity. Send Frankie Candles to sleep. I'm just delirious. I have no idea what's going on up here. Someone's comes out, Tony D comes out. He's like, sorry, guys, I'll get him out of here. But, guys, let's see. I'll just run through chat a little bit. XRP, October is the month. Shout out to Chris Tat. I don't know why October would be the month, but it actually isn't too far off of, if you get the rate cuts, even if you got a little bit of a panic dump off the rate cuts, because everyone's like, oh, my God, recession trigger. October, we look at the timing, right? We look at the timing here on Bitcoin, especially looking at our fib time. Especially looking at our fib time, right? The 1-to-1 fib. Yeah, this is very similar, kind of. I mean, it's kind of how the fib time works, but it's it's very similar to October 20th is the actual level. This might be off by a little bit, but October 20th is that 1-to-1 fib, which is where the all-time high came in last cycle. All right, doesn't mean it has to happen like that, but it would make a lot of sense, right? Because enough time has gone by for that full bull market to play out. Right, so if I pull from the bear market low to the bull market high to the bear market low, right, you can see here, right on that 1-to-1 fib is right where that top came in. All right, it's like literally sniped it. Let's go to the daily chart. All right, whoops. 1-to-1 fib was sitting here on November 13th, and the top came in on November 10th. Right? So, again, there's nothing about this time that says, like, this level causes the top to be in, right? No. It's just measuring the timing of the previous moves. But it's the same thing here, that same 1-to-1 fib. And, again, a reason why I do think that is somewhat probable is because of the timing of potential rate cuts, right? Like, maybe you wiggle around here. We get the rate cuts, right? And then maybe you get a dump or something, and then finally you get that final top to come in, later in Q4 of this year, which would make a lot of sense, right? Like even in Q4 of last year is when we saw a lot of things go crazy. So it wouldn't be like super unlikely timing-wise for October to be the time for that to kind of, be the time to be paying attention. And in that case, XRP would be obviously part of that crew, right? Probably getting moves. So, yeah, there you go. Does line up with the fib time, so can't really argue with that. Shout out to Giga Longbottom. Said, Frankie, wait, I wasn't listening. Can you restart? Shout out to Giga Longbottom. Yes, I'm just – what is going on, everybody? Oh, God. Hashtag send them to bed. Shout out to Gen Z. But, guys – I think that's all the time I got for today's live stream. Heck, I tried to do a short stream. I'm literally ending 10 minutes early. But anyway, guys, I'm glad I didn't. There's never been a stream that I wish I didn't do, right? I've had streams where I was like, dang, you know what? I kind of feel bad about canceling. But I've never regretted not canceling a stream. So here we are, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Watch those levels on Bitcoin. If you're just tuning in, go ahead and scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get my full thoughts on what I'm looking at short-term and long-term. We took a look at some of the altcoins. But thank you guys for being here. Smash that like button on your way out. And let's see. I forgot to take Lentis this morning. Shout out to JR. Give him a roofie if you have to. Shout out to Hollywood. Yeah, Mrs. Candles tries to like sneak melatonin into. She'd be like, "Oh my God, try this candy I just got." And like I hold them in my hand. I'm like, I'm not 5, Mrs. Candles. I'm not 5. I know these are melatonin gummies. But she'll literally try to shove them into my mouth. But guys, with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I will see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time. As always, if something crazy happens, I'll drop a market update. But suspicious of that low at about 111,880. 111,987. Actually, this is the Bitstamp chart. Let me pull it up on Bybit. Watch that low at 111,842. I am suspicious of coming down there. That is my overall anticipation. If we can get a bounce and print that 4-hour bullish divergence, look for that 4-hour green dot. If we get that, it might cause the continuation up. But if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get all the details. Thank you guys for watching. Smash that like button. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. You know the rest. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have 2 bells ready. Spin it for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Yo, shout out to Panda Prophet said, Frank's going to be chatting in the Discord. In an hour, who are we kidding? Shout out to Panda Profit. And Creighton C says, thanks, Frankie. Beware of the slow bounce. Hashtag, he didn't put a hashtag, but I'm putting the hashtag, lackluster for lower highs and lower lows. That's all I got, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. You know the rest. Hasta pasta. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of